What's going on, everybody? This is Tyler Weeb from Pro Physique, and in today's video we're going to talk about which deadlift is best for you. Alright, welcome back everybody. I hope you are all having a fantastic week doing it is whatever you do. Before we get started, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. Greatly appreciate it. This way you're not missing out on any future content. So today's video comes from a client of mine. The original question, so I did tweak it a little bit. The original question was, which different deadlift variations, train, certain muscles, right? Is a sumo training different muscles than a conventional deadlift or a Romanian deadlift? And, so that was the original question, but deadlifts are going to primarily train the exact same muscles. There's not going to be really any huge differences between, let's say, a conventional, a sumo, and like a Romanian deadlift. Like, those are kind of the three we're going to kind of talk about and cover today. Conventional and sumo kind of being the main ones for your compound movement. They're primarily going to be training hip extension, right? So, if you imagine, you're standing up, pushing your butt back, that's going to be hip extension. So that's glutes and hamstrings. So our primary muscles that are being trained, whether we are conventional, sumo, or Romanian deadlift, are going to be glutes and hamstrings. That is just the way it is. Now, the stances are going to be a bit different, and your anatomy is going to dictate kind of which one between conventional and sumo is actually going to be probably a little bit better for you. So that was kind of what I wanted to touch on today. And then we'll talk about a little bit of the Romanian deadlift as well, and just how that could be beneficial in your training for optimal glute and hamstring growth. So the two big ones, conventional and sumo. So there's, the sumo is cheating, conventional is the only type of deadlift, et cetera, et cetera. Well, really, it's going to be determined by your anatomy, and there's really not a whole lot you can do about your anatomy in terms of limb length, how long your legs are, how short your arms are, how long your arms are, and so that will kind of dictate which one is going to be more optimal for you. Now, this is not to say that this puts you into one or the other, like you have to do it. It's just more so, hey, like if you've got this might be a little bit safer and a little bit easier for you to do than this. So, conventional deadlift. So this is the one where we've got feet in a power position. So basically we are like hip width apart, right? That's our conventional deadlift. For this, we're mainly going to look at the length of their limbs. And so first of all, we're going to look at their femur or their quads, right? How long are those legs? So if we have shorter legs, right, a shorter femur, conventional is probably going to be a little bit better for you. And now if you have even longer arms, let's say, like just maybe let's say longer than normal, this is going to be then even better for you, right? These are the two things that we're going to look for when we go into conventional, because that is going to ensure that you have less way to go up. So if you think about it, now as we jump into sumo, if you've got really long legs and you're in this narrow stance, you've got a long way to go to get that weight up, right? Is you gotta go all the way from the floor, and if you're tall and you've got long legs, well, you've got to stand up a pretty far away, which can, put a lot more stress on the low back and can make it a little bit harder to progress because you've got to go further than someone else who's got shorter legs. So that is going to be the main thing that we look at. Okay, so does they have short femurs and do they have long arms? Yes. Okay, let's jump into conventional and work on that. Now, it's going to be the opposite for sumo. Right, so now if we've got longer legs and shorter arms, well, we want to decrease the amount of distance that we need to travel to get the weight from the floor to a lockout position. And so this is going to allow, with someone with longer legs, is to spread them out a bit more, right? You're going to have a much wider stance, which is going to decrease the amount of distance that you have to travel to get the weight up. And then shorter arms, well, you're going right in between your legs, and so you don't have to travel quite too far to get that weight up into a locked out position. Now, probably the biggest difference between the conventional and the sumo is obviously the stance. With conventional, I know I said that with sumo, I know I said that they're primarily going to train the same muscles, right? Hip extension. The biggest difference, you could potentially see is you're going to get a little more adductor, right? So that's going to be the inside of your thigh work with a sumo deadlift, just because of the way the stance is and the knees maybe wanting to collapse just because you are a little bit further out. It is going to kind of force the adductors to kind of work a little bit more to help kind of push those out. But that is probably the biggest difference between the two. So conventional, sumo, doesn't really matter which one you do. Take a look at your anatomy. Take a look. Do I have short legs? Do I have long legs? Do I have short arms, long arms? And then make the decision based upon that. And like I said, it's not like this pigeonholes you into one or the other. You can still train both, but one might just be a little more optimal than the other for yourself. You're still going to train, upper back, lats, abdominals, because you have to keep nice and braced there to help with that lower back. You're going to train a little bit of lower back. So you are hitting a lot of muscles while deadlifting, which is why they're such a fantastic exercise. But again, primarily we're looking at hip extension, which is glutes and hamstrings. So Romanian deadlifts, moving on to the third. I know there's a bunch of different deadlift variations we could go through. Single leg, suitcase deadlift, trap bar deadlift. There's a lot of deadlift variations that we could go through. So I did want to keep it a bit more to the primary three that you're going to see a lot of. Now, Romanian deadlifts, it's probably one of my favorite accessory / hypertrophy movements for the glutes and the hamstrings. So what this one does is that you are keeping constant tension on those hip extensions or the hip extensors, right? So you're not actually going all the way down to the ground. You're gonna go right below the knee, roughly. Again, depending on limb length, is going to kind of depend on how far you need to go. But you are just primarily doing hip extension, right? Stopping, keeping tension on the glutes and the hamstrings, and then using those muscles to power the weight back up. And so I really like this one for an accessory movement, just to really hit the hamstrings, hit the glutes, and build a really nice backside. That's what it's all about, right? We want a nice butt, we want nice hamstrings, we want nice legs, and the Romanian deadlift can really help along with those. I don't think I would ever really use conventional and sumo as a secondary movement or a hypertrophy movement. I would keep those more to your compound movements, and you progress in strength on them, so then that will transfer over into your other lifts. Now, that kind of covers, which deadlift is best for you, and then how to maybe incorporate Romanian deadlifts. Don't think I would completely use them as a primary movement, but you could if you really wanted to. One last thing, do you need to deadlift? No. Unless you are a powerlifter, you do not absolutely need to deadlift to build muscle in your lower body. It's not needed. Can it be very helpful? Yes. And so I would encourage you that, if you've been kind of scared with deadlifts, take a look at your anatomy, figure out, okay, which one's going to be better for me, and then practice that movement, right? Practice with the Romanian deadlift first. Learn the hip hinge movement, right? So that's here we're pushing the hips back, keeping your back nice and straight. Learn that movement first. Learn it with a barbell, and then slowly add weight, making sure that you are keeping form over weight, and you can progress those quite easily and quite quickly, because they use such big muscles in the body, and are just very easy to get strong on. So yeah, don't feel like you have to deadlift, but it can be very helpful in an overall body composition change program. So that is going to be everything for today, guys. Thank you for watching. Greatly appreciated it. Again, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and go ahead, if there's any videos that you would like to see answered in the future, go ahead and shoot me a message on my Instagram, whatever you want to do. I've got ideas, but I always want to hear what you guys want to learn about, and how can I help you. So have a great rest of your day, guys, and we'll chat again soon.